Every generation witnesses a battle between a power that rules by fear and a power that rules by truth. This is not just the story of Moses and Pharaoh. This is the eternal clash between God and empire. In the glittering palace of Egypt, Pharaoh sat on a throne of gold. He was called a god on earth. His word was law, his army was feared, his wealth was endless. Across the desert, in dust and silence, Moses stood barefoot before a burning bush. He had no crown, no army, no reputation. He only had a voice coming from the fire. "Go back to Egypt," God said. "Tell Pharaoh, let my people go." Moses trembled, asking, "Who am I to speak to a king?" And God simply replied, "I will be with you." And that's how the war began. Not with a sword, but with a sentence. Moses walked into the palace, staff in hand, fear in his chest. His brother Aaron stood beside him as they faced the most powerful man on earth. Moses spoke the words that shattered the silence of an empire. "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go." Pharaoh laughed. "Who is this Lord that I should obey him? I know no God above me." Then Pharaoh did what empires always do when challenged. He made the suffering worse. He doubled the labor of the slaves, took away their straw, and turned their flicker of hope into punishment. The people, crushed, turned on Moses. The pressure was immense. In his anguish, Moses cried out to God, "Did you send me here just to fail?" God answered, not with apologies, but with power. Moses returned to Pharaoh. His staff hit the ground and became a serpent. Pharaoh, unimpressed, summoned his court magicians, and they did the same with their secret arts. But then Moses' serpent swallowed theirs. A warning had been given. Soon the water of the Nile turned to blood. The fish died, and the river stank. Still, hardened his heart. Frogs invaded their homes, even their bedrooms. Gnats covered the land. Swarms of flies filled the air. Still, Pharaoh refused. Because pride is deaf, even when the truth is screaming. The plagues intensified. The livestock of Egypt died. Painful boils broke out on man and beast. A terrifying storm of hail and fire fell from a black sky. Then, a profound darkness covered all of Egypt for 3 long days. The nation was shaking. Its economy was collapsing. The people were crying out in fear and misery. But Pharaoh's heart remained like stone. Why? Because empires don't surrender easily. They would rather collapse than bow to a higher authority. Then came the final chilling message. Moses stood before the king one last time. His voice was heavy as he said, "At midnight, every firstborn in the land of Egypt will die." The room fell silent. Pharaoh's face tightened, his voice cold and menacing. "Get away from me," he seethed. "If I ever see your face again, you will die." Moses turned to leave. "You have spoken well," he replied. "You will never see my face again." That night, no army marched, no storm fell. No earthquake shook the ground. Only a silent, invisible death moved through the land. From the palace to the prison, from the richest official to the poorest servant, the firstborn died. And for the first time in history, the sound of Pharaoh's own scream echoed through the halls of power. He had finally met a power he could not threaten, bribe, or control. Before the sun rose, a frantic message arrived from the palace. Pharaoh sent for Moses. "Go," he said, his voice broken. "Take your people and leave. And pray for me also." An entire nation of slaves simply walked out of Egypt. They didn't leave in chains, but in victory. The empire that had once owned them now begged them to leave, loading them with silver and gold just to speed their departure. But pride has a way of rising from the ashes. As Pharaoh looked out over his empty cities, seeing the lost labor and the broken economy, his grief turned to rage. He gathered his army, his 600 best chariots, his finest soldiers, his fastest horses. He chased the Israelites to the shores of the Red Sea. They were trapped. An impassable sea in front of them, the mightiest army on earth behind them. The people panicked, crying out to Moses. But Moses, calm in the storm, simply lifted his staff over the water. In a display of ultimate power, the sea split open. The waters rose up like liquid walls on either side, and the people of Israel walked through on dry ground. Blinded by his arrogance, Pharaoh gave the order to follow. His chariots thundered onto the seabed in pursuit. But when the last Israelite had safely stepped onto the other shore, the sea returned. The walls of water collapsed. Chariots crashed, soldiers vanished, and the entire Egyptian army, the very symbol of Pharaoh's power, disappeared beneath the waves. The empire and its god-king died in the sea that day. Moses had no army. Pharaoh had the world's greatest. Moses had no throne. Pharaoh ruled a global superpower. But Moses had something Pharaoh could never comprehend. God does not compete with empires. He simply crushes them when the time is full. Right now, you may be facing your own Pharaoh. It might be a system, a person, or a power that tells you, you will never be free. But hear this, empires always fall. Gods of pride always collapse. And chains always break when God himself steps into the battle. You see, it was never really Moses versus Pharaoh. It was God versus everything that says God cannot rule. Thanks for watching. If this story spoke to you, make sure to like and subscribe for more content that goes beyond the surface. We'll see you in the next one.